You've waited your whole life for this, the dream vacation. The trip you promised yourself you'd finally take once the kids were grown, the job was finished, the house was finally quiet. And now, the world is waiting for you. But if you're over 70, there are hidden dangers lurking in every airport, hotel, and cobblestone street. Threats that can turn that dream into a nightmare faster than you think. Here's the terrifying part. Most seniors never see these dangers coming, not until it's already too late to do anything about them. Blood clots mid-flight, sudden collapses from dehydration, hidden scams that target travelers based solely on their age. Even worse, most travel insurance plans won't protect you the way you think they will. And the costs aren't just financial. One wrong move could steal not only your money, but your independence, your health, even your life. But here's the good news. These dangers are avoidable if you know what to look for. Today, we're revealing the hidden risks every senior must know before their next trip, and the simple steps that could save your life and your future. Because travel after 70 can still be magical, but only if you travel smarter than ever before. And the first hidden danger? It starts before you even finish your first flight. 1. Blood clots and the silent risk in the sky. Flying should feel like freedom, but for seniors, it can quietly become a deadly trap. After age 70, your risk of developing deep vein thrombosis, DVT for short, triples. And DVT isn't just uncomfortable, it's deadly. Here's the chilling reality. You could feel perfectly fine during the flight. No warning signs, maybe a slight ache behind the knee, a little swelling around the ankle, and then, without warning, a clot breaks loose, travels to your lungs, and blocks your airway. It's called a pulmonary embolism, and it can strike minutes after landing or even days later while you're walking through a museum or enjoying a tour. Think you're safe just because you walk a little on the plane? Think again. If you sit for more than 4 hours without movement, your clot risk skyrockets, even in business class. Frank, a 73-year-old retired firefighter from Chicago, thought he was doing everything right. He boarded a flight to Rome, excited for the 2-week dream vacation he and his wife had saved for decades to take. He watched a movie, napped a little, barely moved, except to stretch once or twice in his seat. By the time he landed in Italy, he felt a cramp behind his knee. He shrugged it off. Jet lag, he figured. But just 2 days later, as he was climbing the famous Spanish steps, Frank suddenly collapsed, clutching his chest, gasping for air. An ambulance rushed him to the hospital. Diagnosis: massive pulmonary embolism caused by a hidden clot that had formed during the flight. Frank survived, but barely. He spent the rest of his dream vacation in a hospital bed, thousands of miles from home. And here's the part no one warns you about. Blood clots aren't just a risk mid-air. They can form days after you land, and hit when you least expect it. Protection plan. Doctors recommend a simple but powerful set of habits. Stand up and walk the aisle at least once every 2 hours. Do calf raises and ankle circles while seated. Stay hydrated. Thicker blood from dehydration makes clotting worse. Consider wearing compression socks specifically made for travel, because one minor adjustment during your flight could mean the difference between the trip of a lifetime and a life-threatening emergency. But blood clots aren't the only hidden danger, because even if you survive the flight, your next battle begins before you even leave the airport terminal. 2. How minor dehydration can spiral into major problems. You step off the plane, your feet finally on solid ground. You feel a little tired, a little stiff, but nothing you can't shake off with a good meal and a walk, right? Wrong. Because what's already happening inside your body could ruin your trip before it even begins. Here's what almost no one realizes. The air inside an airplane is so dry, it's worse than the Sahara Desert. Humidity levels can fall below 20%, stripping moisture from your body faster than you can replace it. And seniors? They're even more vulnerable. As we age, our sense of thirst naturally weakens. By the time you feel thirsty, you're already dangerously dehydrated. Think you're fine because you don't feel thirsty? That's exactly the trap. Mild dehydration doesn't just make you tired. It thickens your blood, putting strain on your heart. It dries out your joints, making you more prone to falls. It clouds your thinking, causing confusion that can spiral into full-blown disorientation. And in extreme cases, it can trigger heart attacks, strokes, or fainting episodes. Right there in the middle of your vacation, take Mary, a lively 74-year-old retired teacher from Arizona. She was excited for her dream trip to Paris, a city she had wanted to visit since she was a little girl. The flight was long, but Mary figured she was handling it well. She sipped one coffee, ate her airplane meal, and dozed off for most of the journey. No water, no electrolytes. By the time she landed, she felt groggy and dizzy. Still, she pushed through. She didn't want to make a fuss, as she put it. But within an hour of reaching her hotel, Mary collapsed in the lobby. Paramedics rushed her to a hospital. Severe dehydration had triggered a sudden drop in blood pressure, causing her to faint, hit her head, and spend the next 4 days in a French hospital recovering. Her sightseeing dreams gone in an instant. And here's the part most travelers miss. Dehydration doesn't just strike during the flight. It can follow you for days after you land, setting traps when you least expect it. Protection plan. Start hydrating 24 hours before your flight. Bring a refillable water bottle onto the plane and sip steadily, not just when you feel thirsty. Avoid alcohol, coffee, and tea mid-flight. They act like diuretics, draining your body faster. Add electrolyte tablets to your water if you're on long-haul flights, because staying hydrated isn't just about comfort. It's about protecting your brain, your heart, and your entire trip from disaster. But even if you step off the plane hydrated and strong, what's waiting for you at your first local meal could be an even bigger danger. 3. Hidden food triggers that could land you in the ER. You made it. You survived the flight. You're hydrated. You're ready for your first real meal in a brand new country. And that's exactly when the next hidden danger strikes. Here's the brutal truth. Foods that seem harmless, or even familiar, can carry invisible risks for travelers over 70. Different bacteria, different food preparation standards, unseen allergens hidden in sauces, oils, or even the water used to wash produce. For younger travelers, a bout of food poisoning might mean a rough day. For seniors, it can escalate into severe dehydration, dangerous electrolyte imbalances, or worse. Think it's just traveler's tummy? Think again. One bad meal can put a senior in the ICU within hours. And it's not just about sanitation, it's about hidden allergies too. Peanut oil used in frying, shellfish stock in soups, fresh fruits and salads rinsed in contaminated water, all invisible, all waiting for their next unsuspecting tourist. James and Ellen, a vibrant couple in their early 70s, were thrilled to finally take their long-dreamed-of trip to Thailand. First stop? A bustling street market known for its colourful stalls and mouth-watering smells. They couldn't resist the famous chicken skewers from a local vendor. The food smelled amazing. The crowd looked lively. But within hours, James was violently ill. What started as simple nausea rapidly spiraled into severe vomiting and diarrhea. He grew weak, confused. He could barely stand. By the next morning, Ellen had to call an ambulance. Doctors diagnosed James with a severe case of bacterial food poisoning, so severe that it triggered kidney stress. Instead of touring temples and beaches, James spent 6 days recovering in a hospital bed. And the heartbreaking part? One simple precaution could have prevented it, because it's not just what you eat, it's how it's prepared, and how your body reacts to it now, compared to 30 years ago. Protection plan. Stick to foods that are piping hot and freshly cooked. Avoid raw salads, cold meats, and dairy products in high-risk areas. Always peel your own fruits. Never eat pre-cut ones from stands. Carry a small medical translation card that lists your allergies in the local language. And one of the smartest moves? Travel with a small emergency kit, anti-diarrheal meds, oral rehydration salts, and a trusted probiotic recommended by your doctor. Because a simple snack should never be the thing that derails your adventure. But even if you eat perfectly, there's another danger, one that's hidden right in your own luggage. And it's far more common than you think. 4. The medication mishap no one warns about. You've packed everything perfectly, checked your prescriptions, sorted your pills neatly into your daily organizers. You think you're ready. But the truth is, most seniors aren't. Not when it comes to traveling with medications across borders. Because once you leave your home country, your most critical lifeline, your meds, can suddenly become a source of major risk. Here's what happens more often than you'd think. Medications get lost with checked luggage. Customs officers confiscate unlabeled or misunderstood prescriptions. Time zone changes throw off critical dosing schedules, causing dangerous gaps between doses. Think you'll just figure it out when you land. That thinking has ruined thousands of trips and hospitalized countless travelers. Annette, a 76-year-old retiree from Denver, was ecstatic to finally visit Greece. She carefully packed her bags, double-checking her blood pressure meds, heart pills, and her thyroid supplements. But she made one critical mistake. She packed all her medications inside her checked luggage. When her suitcase didn't arrive in Athens, panic set in. At first, she figured it would show up within a day, but after 48 hours without her blood pressure meds, Annette began feeling dizzy. By day 3, she collapsed at her hotel. The hospital treated her for a hypertensive emergency, and she spent the rest of her dream vacation recovering instead of sightseeing. Worse, the lost bag was never found. Her specialized medications weren't available in local pharmacies, and it took over a week to get replacements shipped internationally, all because of one simple oversight. And here's the part most people miss. Losing your medications isn't the only danger. Even carrying them wrong can get you flagged, fined, or worse. Protection plan. Always carry critical medications in your carry-on bag, not checked luggage. Keep original prescription labels attached. Bring a printed list of every medication you take, including doses and what they're for. Pack at least one extra week's supply in case of delays or emergencies. Set alarms on your phone to remind you of dosing times adjusted to your current time zone. Also smart, carry a doctor's note explaining your prescriptions, especially for anything controlled, like strong painkillers, anti-anxiety meds, or injectables. Because when it comes to your health abroad, being over-prepared isn't annoying, it's life-saving. But even with perfect planning, the next trap seniors fall into is thinking their insurance will save them. And that belief could be the costliest mistake of all. 5. The shocking truth about travel insurance. Over 70. You're smart. You bought travel insurance? You checked the box. You feel covered. But what if I told you you're not? Because once you hit 70, many travel insurance policies stop quietly covering the things that matter most. Heart attacks, strokes, medical evacuations, life-threatening emergencies. Think your basic plan covers everything. Think again. In the fine print, often buried in tiny letters, you'll find age limits, exclusions for pre-existing conditions, and shocking loopholes that leave seniors stranded without help. Walter, a 78-year-old widower from Florida, was hiking through the beautiful rainforests of Costa Rica when he started feeling strange. At first, he blamed it on the heat. But by the time he sat down on a rock, shaking and gasping for air, it was clear something was very wrong. Walter was rushed to a hospital where doctors confirmed he had suffered a minor stroke. Relieved he had bought insurance, Walter called his provider, only to be told that because of his previous high blood pressure diagnosis from 15 years ago, his policy wouldn't cover a dime of his hospital stay. He ended up facing a medical bill of $97,000. Worse, he had to stay in a local hospital for over a week because he couldn't afford the $40,000 private medical evacuation to fly home, all because he hadn't read the fine print. And here's the kicker. Most seniors don't even realize they're not covered until it's too late to do anything about it. 6. Scams that target senior travelers. You step into a beautiful new city. The streets are alive with music, scents, and colors. Friendly faces smile at you around every corner. But here's the chilling reality. Not every smile is genuine. Some of them are masks, worn by scammers who see you not as a guest, but as an easy target. Think you're too smart to fall for a scam? That's exactly what scammers count on. Because after 70, you're seen differently, more trusting, slower to react, easier to distract. And scammers? They know exactly how to exploit that. Richard, a 75-year-old retired engineer from Texas, was traveling solo through Barcelona. One afternoon, while walking through a crowded plaza, a young man in a police uniform stopped him. He politely asked to check Richard's wallet for counterfeit bills, a routine inspection, he claimed. Wanting to be cooperative and not cause trouble in a foreign country, Richard handed it over. In less than 30 seconds, the fake officer found nothing wrong and returned the wallet. It wasn't until Richard went to buy dinner that night that he realized he was missing over $2,500 in cash. Gone. No recourse. No refund. And by the time he reported it to the real police, the scammer had disappeared into the crowds. And it's not just fake cops. The tricks are evolving every year, getting smarter, slicker, and harder to spot. Common senior targeted scams: helpful strangers offering to carry your bags or fix a broken zipper, then running off with your belongings. Fake taxi drivers at airports who overcharge or take you to the wrong hotel. Street performers who surround you in groups, distracting you while a partner lifts your wallet. Romance scams where a charming stranger suddenly needs emergency money. Protection plan: always book official taxis inside the airport, not from people waving outside. Never hand over your wallet, passport, or credit cards to anyone, even someone dressed as an authority figure. Carry 2 wallets, a decoy wallet with a little cash, and a hidden money belt for your real valuables. Learn basic scam warning phrases in the local language. Sometimes just speaking up loudly can scare scammers off, because the sad truth is, once your money is gone abroad, it's almost impossible to get it back. And even if you dodge the scammers, another danger still lurks, one you won't see coming until it's too late. It's hiding inside the airport itself. 7. Airport chaos and silent emergencies. Airports are supposed to be the start of the adventure. But for seniors, they can quietly become a battleground. Long security lines, confusing boarding gates, heavy luggage, flashing lights, and constant announcements. It's not just exhausting, it's dangerous. Think it's harmless to power through the airport? That decision can change everything. Sylvia, a vibrant 79-year-old, landed at Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris, full of excitement. But after standing for nearly an hour in a winding immigration line, she felt lightheaded. There was no chair nearby, no one offering help. She fainted, hard, hitting her ribs against the marble floor. What should have been a trip filled with memories became a blur of x-rays, ice packs, and slow, painful recovery. Protection plan. Always request wheelchair assistance, even if you think you won't need it. Use priority boarding whenever possible. Never rush through an airport. Slow and steady wins the race. Because at 70 plus, it's not about proving strength. It's about protecting your future. But even the best preparation can't help if the worst happens, and help doesn't arrive at all. That's where the final hidden danger lives. 8. When emergency help abroad isn't guaranteed, you assume that if something goes wrong, someone will come. But in many parts of the world, that help might be hours or days away. Some hospitals have no ambulances. Some cities have no reliable emergency numbers. Some rural towns, they rely on volunteer doctors, if they're available at all. Think you can call 911 anywhere in the world? Think again. Karen, 73, was hiking in a remote part of Peru when she slipped on loose gravel. Her hip fractured instantly. There was no cell service, no ambulance. It took 6 hours for local villagers to find help, by donkey. By the time she reached a small clinic, her situation had worsened drastically. Karen eventually recovered, but only after emergency evacuation costing tens of thousands of dollars, and she was one of the lucky ones. Protection plan. Research the nearest hospitals before you book your hotel. Carry a laminated card with local emergency numbers. Always buy travel insurance that includes emergency medical evacuation. Tell your family back home your detailed itinerary and check in regularly. Because when you're vulnerable, isolated and scared, preparation is everything. Travel after 70 can be the greatest chapter of your life, or it can become your greatest regret. It all depends on how you prepare. Blood clots, dehydration, hidden food risks, medication mishaps, insurance traps, scams, airport chaos, delayed emergency help. Each one is real. Each one can strike without warning. But with the right knowledge, the right habits, and the right mindset, you can still explore the world boldly, safely, and joyfully. You've earned the wisdom to travel smarter, and you deserve to live these next chapters of your life with more safety, more freedom, and more joy. If you found even one piece of wisdom today that could help you or someone you love, imagine what else we can explore together. Subscribe to Gertrude's Corner, where every story, every lesson, and every tip is here to help you live stronger, wiser, and fuller than ever before. Your journey is just beginning. We'll be right here with you, every step of the way. Click subscribe. Stay connected. Keep growing. Your friend, Gertrude.